And I really didn't expect to be doing this again, but perhaps it's necessary. I'll do a few of these when I heal and get back into form because what I said in the first thing is still true. The time for words, it's done. Now, someone asked me who did I think I was to launch my own personal revolt. It was a second take on the prior question of what gave me the right to launch a revolt. However, this one has the meaning of class to it. The idea that only members of a certain class or those who hold a special social standing could launch a revolution. It's sad to think that they could be right, but I intend to prove them wrong. True that someone from an Afro-Crema social status could have an easier time with revolt, but that doesn't mean that revolt isn't the duty of all free men. However, this question has several aspects to it. Form of revolt, goal of revolt, and participants of revolt. The form of revolt is by any means necessary. And if the goals are lofty enough, then most evils are justified in bringing them to fruition. This is a fine line to walk, and it takes a standfast, upright mind to walk it. As soon as the evils outweigh the gains, the revolt instantly becomes worse than the reasons that caused it. That is why any attack should be measured. And believe me, I don't mean absent violence, I mean measured. The tragedy of the Marfin bank killing should be avoided at all costs and never forgotten. However, that doesn't mean that banks and foreign corporations aren't from under target. Indeed, they're my primary targets. Take from those with and give to those without, however you must do it. And remember, always, the petty bourgeoisie are simply members of the proletariat suffering from the mental affliction of propaganda. They're our brothers and sisters, and I'm going to treat them as such. As long as it's in my power to do so, this is a revolt after all. The goal of revolt is to realize dreams. If it is for anything other than realizing dreams, then change should be handled through the normal legislative procedures of the state. No, revolt is only for truly revolutionary changes. However, it is difficult for many to have a belief in lofty ethics. Even in a country like Greece, where people like to consider themselves as Christian, one of our highest moral ethics, we don't see that much value in the church. Even though revolt is for revolutionary advancements, we must also address the basics for people to have something to believe in. Pensions and salaries have been slashed. Personal property and value-added taxes have skyrocketed. In Greece, we have the second oldest population in Europe, third in the world. Yet knowing that fact, our government neglects the healthcare sector and boosts the national defense. And it actually wouldn't be too bad if what we spent actually fortified our national defense, but all they do is reload the verbal quiver of Mitsotakis. He allows himself to say that he and the government are keeping Greece safe and strong, but all they do is waste money on publicity stunts. If the government wished to fortify our defenses, they'd invest in developing a Greek military computer code and remote-controlled crafts, instead of wasting billions on foreign aircraft to be shot down and huge floating targets. However, the bougie government doesn't wish to protect Greece, the Greek people. The danger to Greece doesn't even come from foreign militaries in the first place, so military fortifications don't protect the Greek people. The danger to Greece, the present danger to Greece, is a sick, aging, and impoverished population. If the government wished to protect Greece, they'd fortify the Greek people. They'd strengthen the public health care system first and foremost, and they'd lower taxes on our young so that they would feel comfortable in having children of their own. Those are the basics a government could do. A government for the people would not only reinstate pension levels, they'd reimburse all that they've withheld. They'd cut taxes and raise salaries back to the pre-crisis levels, and they'd certainly return to normal the cost of electricity. However, those are the basics, the things that should go without saying. And as I said, a revolt is only for truly revolutionary advancements. A revolt is for realizing dreams. When living in a world of prevalent nightmares, realizing dreams is a revolutionary act. The dream of a post-scarcity economy and human liberation from menial servitude through full automation is the simplest. Indeed, so simple, I say that since we haven't done it yet is sinful. But once that's accomplished, once that small basic dream is realized, then we'll be able to see what it really means to dream. Once we build off our ancestors' knowledge and accomplishments, once we addressed our basic needs, then our minds would be freed from the tyranny of the mundane and will truly be able to dream. Just look at the world now. As everyone, you can only do so in accordance to your cultural programming or your last brainwashing parameters. With that, the dreams of the majority are severely lacking, since our culture doesn't promote an environment conducive for dreaming, but for conformity. Now, the dreams of the majority are usually to be rich or famous. How sad is it that our state of dreaming has been so limited? When the state of our fantasies are as simple as being debt-free, you know that dreams are lacking. So just imagine what dreams man could create once freed of the mundane, freed of menial servitude. Now, the question was expanded upon at that point when she asked, "What? You don't want to put in a communist regiment?" I responded with, "Possibly." But then I elaborated and said, "But hey, at first let's just try to get what we got into somewhat decent working order, because that's got to be at the forefront of the revolution of thought. That I, as a rhizospastes, could find common ground with the traditionalist is truly revolutionary, as well as the greatest strike against the bourgeoisie when their tactic of divide and conquer is removed." And that takes us into the topic of participants, as well as the idea of class or social standing. I can't believe that people can't look onto the prevailing qualities of the governing class and not see them as being totally antithetical as to the qualities that the working classes hold dear. In Greece, we hold Christianity in high regard but are quickly losing respect for the church. We hold our servicemen in high esteem but are then lose faith in meritocracy when we see fat, out of shape tagmatarches and strategy with feeble mentalities and sorely lacking education. This being another area that would benefit from investing other than equipment, for the old saying, "The society that separates its scholars from its soldiers will have its fighting done by fools and its thinking done by cowards," is still true. The only area that we give no respect and have no esteem is in government and corporations. By their works we know them. Many a study, many a research paper has been done regarding the connection between antisocial, unethical, and at times psychopathic people and seats of high power. That's the reason why I stated in my second work, to look to criminals for honor and decency, to look for mercy from the merciless, is insanity. So, who should revolt? Dorks. Dorks, dweebs, buffoons, boobs, and imbeciles, as well as nerds, artists and engineers, futurists and dreamers. All those who not only haven't ruled, but hasn't had their thoughts and imagining seen by the majority beyond the realm of the fantastical, the theatrical. Take a minute. Just take a minute and forget what the petty bourgeoisie say about the practical idea for the future of humanity. Forget the simple news stories of climate change or the expansion of the electric automobile infrastructure. Instead, look at the fantasies of the petty bourgeoisie. Look at what bougie institutions such as Hollywood are showing us. Look at what they feel our dreams for the future of humanity should be, although nightmares for the human future is more apt. Is any of it wondrous to you? Loving, hopeful? It's not to me. I see end of the world scenarios being played out and the majority of humanity dies horrifically. That is what the bourgeoisie wants for us. Hollywood is flaunting their ugliness in front of us. A dreamer, a lover of humanity. If they'd make an end of the world scenario, it would be with all of humanity up in spaceships looking down to the earth for the last time. We'd see a scenario with all of humanity having one hell of a going away party before setting sail to cosmic horizons, continuing the human adventure. That is what dreamers think of. Bourgeoisie psychopaths promote values such as Valentine's from the first Kingsman movie. The idea that humanity is a virus and that the great majority of us needs to die for the earth to live. You know, along with a select few. That is what the bourgeoisie thinks of. That is the difference between dreams and nightmares. Dreams are solutions. Nightmares are giving up. In the first thing that I made, I asked for men to simply get mad. To develop pride in themselves and their loved ones. To do that, you must want to live free. And only those who want to live, who want freedom, can revolt. And I could also say that only those who want to be free can develop pride in themselves. Many don't want freedom. I mean, they say it all the time that they do, but most don't. It's actually more important for them to say that they want freedom other than actually having it, actually striving to take it. For most, freedom is actually an easy thing to have if they simply take it, but as I said, most don't want freedom. If they were free, they'd have no one to blame for their shortcomings, for their failures. For many, being subjugated is comforting. When you're subjugated, no failure is your own, and that's comforting to a great many. Comfort in the knowledge that they could never fail because they had no power to succeed in the first place. And personally, I find such people to be about as worthless as the phobic phobes. And that's the real reason why I said that dorks, dweebs, buffoons, boobs, and imbeciles, as well as nerds, artists and engineers, futurists and dreamers, creators of beauty all, should be the first to revolt, is because we're the ones who've been stepped on the most, laughed at and ridiculed the most, and only for committing the egregious act of dreaming, of striving for something better. Oh, get your heads out of the clouds and come back to earth. Quit your daydreaming. The world doesn't work like that. We should be the ones to revolt simply because we are the ones who can take it. We've been berated and battered our whole lives by weaker minds, but with stronger social standing, and we've been strengthened because of it. The bourgeoisie, and the majority of the petty bourgeoisie, they don't know what it is to strive. That's why they don't know what it is to fail. The petty bourgeoisie, they don't know what it is to write hour after hour, then to throw away all of that work because you think that it sucks. They don't know what it is to have a repeating tune going over and over in your head, making you crazy to the point that you just got to get it written down so others can play it. Hell, they don't even know what it is to strive just to get a group of guys at the same place at the same time to just be able to play for about an hour and without knowing when you'll be able to do it again because everyone is a husband or a father. They don't know what it's like, even in the best of times, that even after all of that time and effort to make your own music and to make it work with a group, to finally play that music in front of a crowd, let alone now with COVID restrictions. Nah. The only thing that the petty bourgeoisie can do is, at the most, and only if they like it, is simply say, cool. Or if they don't, that sucks. The most these void of spirit fucks can muster to generate as an emotional expression lasts only for as long as a fart in the wind based on a few minutes experience on something that could have easily taken months, sometimes over a year, to craft. As I said before, most of our problems are due to our bougie leaders not being able to admit their mistakes. They can't suffer losing face or feel that they've lost face. Those things are traumatic for a bougie bitch, and they'll gladly see the world suffer just so they can feel good about themselves. We, on the other hand, we exist in failure, in embarrassment. We do that because we strive. Mediocrity doesn't do it for us. I'd rather go down and fail instead of never trying. But this also shows why I'm not going to call out for people to join me. I'm not going to go onto social media branches and call for a revolt. I'm going to revolt. Hell, I don't even know who I'd call in the first place. And I also say that because if you are not roused to revolt by this point, would words from me do a damn thing? No. No. I'm just expressing myself and my justifications. If there is anything else I'm doing, well, it's just to say that I hope that you'll enjoy the show. Comrades, Viva.